Kings of War, 3rd edition battle report, Ratkin versus the Abyssal Dwarves, 2,000 points. The scenario was Pillage. So over the last few weeks I've been playing Abyssals, and it seemed like every time I've played somebody they've ramped up their army stronger and stronger against me. So I decided to drop back down to my Ratkin, and I'm trying to get ready for a tournament in June if it's going to happen. And this is a 2,000 point version of my army. I think I'm going to change it after this since I've learned something from this one. But I have 5 hordes of warriors with plague pots, 5 hordes of wretches, 5 regiments of vermintide, a brood mother, a swarm crier with the loot, a brood enforcer with the inspiring talisman. Alright, this is a very powerful Abyssal Dwarf list. It's modeled on somebody else's army, but this is the 2,000 point version. A decimator horde with blessing and a rocket, the obsidian golem horde with fire oil and a charnox, whatever that is, 2 decimator regiments, both with rockets, 2 slave orc hordes, 4 slave orc regiments, 2 mortars, and 2 hexcasters. As far as deployment, I'll just tell you what everything is. All of the pink things at the top are warriors with plague pots. All the other big things that are kind of gray and white, those are all wretches. The other little blocks are all vermintide. In the upper left hand corner I had the brood mother along with the ASB with the loot up in that section of the board, and up in the upper right hand corner I had the brood enforcer with the inspiring talisman. So I think this is right on the Abyssal Dwarves. I had 2 slave regiments, 2 orc slave regiments, a regiment of decimators, 1 of the hex guys, then a horde of orc slaves, the mortar, and then another regiment of orc slaves by with another hex guy behind it. Excuse me, and then a decimator horde, which is badass because they pretty much kill a unit every turn. In front of them is another mortar. Off to the right is a unit of orc slave horde, and then a horde of lesser obsidian golems, and then yet another decimator regiment, and then lastly a orc slave regiment on the far right. Alright, this is my first move, and to tell you what my deployment was, I had so many troops and all the objectives were on both sides, so what I decided to do was just go for all 6 of them. You instantly see the mistake I made is I left the 2 in the back wide open. I should have just left one of those units like a vermintide or something like that on top of them, but eventually I do go back and get them just in case, and really loaded up on my left flank. But I mean, there's the same amount of hordes on the right, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, close to it, with both vermintide units. I had really nothing in my army that could kill anything in his army, so I just marched forward trying to play the scenario, because my goal is not in the I need to kill everything on the table. I just need to win the scenario, and was my whole goal in this battle. Alright, so my plan was, of course, to jam him up as much as possible. He moved up pretty aggressively on the right flank because he knew I had nothing that could harm those obsidian golems. All I had to do was keep them fighting and not killing my units. His shooting did 5 on my horde on the right hand side of the woods from the mortars, and then I don't remember what did the other 3. Maybe it was the obsidian golems. So not if they're not bad enough, they give them something to shoot with, which is absurd. I really think that maybe these Abyssal Dwarves are probably one of the more broken lists, right up there with Undead level, just because of if things are powerful, then they give it some other ability on top of that, which is to me, a little out of whack. But I mean, I wasn't here to kill stuff anyway, so it didn't really bother me. I just was here. If I had to take units off, I took them off. So everything's expendable. That was the whole theme of this army. So you can see on turn 2, my whole goal was just to clog up all those objectives. So like I said, you see my mistake on the leaving those other ones undefended, and so I'm going to have to do something about that. But I had these 2 here in the middle covered fairly well, and I really thought I could drive one flank a little bit and maybe get to the other one, particularly on the left flank, since I had so many hordes over there. Even though they're useless hordes, they were going to be effective at some point in time. Biggest issue I had was I chose the upper side of the table, so to avoid that stupid house, and in the meantime the house still plagued me. I couldn't really concentrate my hordes in on those orc slave regiments there, and that was going to plague me for quite a while this game. So on the right flank, the one of the orc slave regiments went ahead and charged my Vermintide. You can see he charged my other Vermintide in the little woods there and just wavered them with 3 wounds. Used his hexcasters to throw weakness on 2 of my units, which is another baffling thing, since Abyssal Dwarfs have hex, have the weakness 3, but most people's default is Banechant 2. So why wouldn't you have why wouldn't weakness 2 be the standard in the game instead of weakness 3, which is almost 100% every time? So again, it didn't really affect this army. It would have really killed my Abyssal demon army. Down in the bottom, both of his bottom left, both of his slave regiments charged my Vermintide, and like I said, you can see the problem developing. I can't get both hordes in there side by side to take out that unit. Okay, over on the left, I just moved back after my Vermintide had died. There was just trying to get him to get past that stupid house so that I could kill one of his units. And over on the right side, I charged his orc slave regiment, thinking maybe, just maybe, I could kill some of them. But he charged me and did 3 wounds to me in the previous turn. I just kind of held back with everything since I was sitting on top of the objectives. There was no reason to run out there and get my head cut off by obviously more powerful units than my own. So on the right side, his slave orcs got my and his decimators rolled really, really well and got my guys up to 11, which was tragic. The lower obsidian golems went ahead and killed that Vermintide unit that was there. He cast weakness on 2 units over on my left side. Really nothing you can do about it. I didn't have any character hunters in this list, and which might be something that I add just to be a little more effective and just to keeping stupid crap like wizards just walking around without being able to do anything. So either putting a chieftain on a flea bag would probably have solved my problem with shooting in this game, or maybe 2. It's probably worth getting rid of a horde or 2 even to have somebody that can negate some of those particular models. So over on the right flank, I did manage to get rid of these slave orcs with my highly wounded unit of warriors. Over on the left flank, he charged both of his slave units into my wretches and got them up to 6 wounds. But I mean, I have basically 2 units there adding rally to them, so that wasn't too bad. This time I did peek through the woods a little bit out with my my wretch horde, because I wanted to be able to see in case he turned his flank to me to do something to defend the middle. I had managed to charge one of his mortars, did 3 wounds to it, and but didn't do anything to it. Then I died on the next turn from something. I think it was shooting, but whatever that unit of decimator, that horde shot something, it killed it. There was no question it was dying. So over on the right hand side, his decimators charged into my horde of warriors who are up only on 9 wounds, and I think they're, I don't know, 19 or something like that. Then his obsidian golems charged into an intact unit of slaves, did 6 wounds and rolled boxcars. When his decimators, I think they did 1 wound to me and rolled boxcars, so 2 in a row, and my army is all of a sudden goes from basically a sure win to totally screwed in 1 turn. Over on the left hand side, he did get that unit of slaves up to, wretches up to 12. In the middle, his orc slaves got my Vermintide up to 4, but they survived. And again, he got weakness off both times. I mean, you might as well just say you're going to put weakness on it when you've got 3 dice of weakness. And like I said, it's really strange because Banechant for the most part, except for Ratkin, is 2. So over on the left flank, I combined charge for both hordes of wretches, finally killed one of the units of orc slaves, and I turned toward the middle to try to maybe catch a flank on something else. In the middle, I double charged into his orc slave regiment, and I think I can't remember. I think I did waver him, but I'll have to look in a second, or it should be on the next slide. Over on the left, he wavered. I'm sorry, my unit was wavered. I couldn't do anything. I just kept backing up there. I just needed to make sure I got one of those hordes stuck on the objective. And this is one of the times when I kind of wish that I had one of my hordes was spearmen, because they are unit strength 4. And I think that that would have made a huge effect on this game. I'll just have to figure out where to get the points to kind of improve this particular list. Maybe dumps a wretch horde or something like that to get the points for that, or maybe one unit of the vermintide. But I'll just have to see how to fix the list, because this is the first time I played it, so I really didn't know what to expect. Okay, on his turn 5, the shooting obviously erased my horde of wretches over there that was standing next to that objective. In the middle, he cast weakness on my wretches there. I think I negated it on my turn by throwing a Bane Chant. You can see his unit there still wavered, his unit of slave orcs. He moved aggressively up on the right hand side with his orc slave horde. His unit of obsidian golems finished off that unit of wretches. I mean, yeah, they should do it, but I mean, the fact that he wavered them with a 12 was kind of a bad thing for me, because I mean, I don't think I could have done any wounds to him, but you never know. It would just be luck, rolling all those 6s. So anyway, that was the end of 5. He shot me all to pieces this turn with to get rid of my one horde over there, and then my other horde in the woods was pretty damaged with a 9. So over on the left flank, I managed to waver his other unit of slave orcs. Got him up to 7, which is pretty good. I had to turn my leftmost unit of warriors to turn just the tip of the damn unit there, because I had to get within 3 inches of the objective, because I figured that my other unit that's there in the woods was going to get erased next turn by that horde. Over on the right flank, I charged in with my wretches in the woods, did nothing. I charged into his obsidian golems and did nothing. I have no crushing in my entire army, so there's no way that I can beat these down. And so, but that's my own fault. But again, this is trying to play a game of winning objectives and not necessarily killing everybody. As you can see, I had to dispatch both of my heroes up to the corners to take those 2 objectives. Otherwise, I would have lost the game right off the bat. And right now, I'm actually in a good shape as far as unit strength. But again, I wish that I had taken a couple of units of spearmen instead of all the warriors, because it surely would have helped this game. Alright, this is a picture of the last turn. I wasn't able to keep him off the objectives. I put my characters had moved to both corners to take those out, which was a mistake early. I should have just left vermintide up there and kept my characters in for support. But I'd already made the mistake early in the game, and it was the only way I could undo it. And I mean, the plan worked into that regard. The army list performed pretty well, just because, no, it doesn't kill anything, but it's really hard to get rid of all of them. So anyway, good game, Polly, and it was another draw. I think that's 2 in a row for us, so that's pretty cool. Alright, this is my afterthoughts of the game. And the first thing I want to point out, it was a very hard-fought game. I mean, this was really a chess match in trying to position things and to try to win the game by trying to get the objectives and just totally forgetting about trying to kill units, which is hard to do when you're used to playing games where, especially Warhammer, where killing units was king. And this game's scenarios are king. So that's the important thing, is to just obviously concentrate on the scenario 100%. Don't think about it on turn 4 or 5. Think about it from the very beginning of the game. And that is one of my hints to winning for anybody, any game actually. And then just kind of look at the mistakes I made. I forgot the plague pots entirely, the entire game, for every unit. I had 5 hordes with plague pots. I forgot every one of them. If nothing else, I could have used them to mitigate a turn of shooting on the ones that were being abused by missile fire. Down in the right hand corner, the plague pots would have just been amazing. It would have been a key to winning the game, because I wouldn't have taken so much, and even with a boxcar down there, all it would have just been would have been wavered instead of instant killed. Uh, the other thing I should have left the Vermintide units on the objectives. I mean, both of those Vermintide units didn't even equal some of my characters sometimes in their point cost. So that was just dumb. But I didn't realize it till I started moving on turn 2, and I was like, oh crap, I've got to go back and get those objectives. And I really don't have any fast things in the army except because everything's infantry. So I should have just left the Vermintide, a couple of those back in the back, because I mean they were just there for chaff anyway. I mean, but that would have been the perfect role for them to allow my characters then to stay with my troops and give me some inspiring uh, or something else, or some healing in the case of the Broodmother. So that was a definite mistake, and one I'll make sure I don't do next time. But the last thing is some slight list mistakes. I don't think I need the characters that I had even. I think I just needed a bunch of Swarm Criers to make sure my guys stay in the game. I mean, healing, you're taking, you say I'm going to drain life from a group of wretches to heal a bunch of warriors. Well, that's just stupid anyway. I mean, the Broodmother would work a lot better with an army that had more elite infantry, such as shock troops, but to have them with just supporting regular warriors doesn't make any sense at all. So I'm going to revise the list a little bit. The other thing I think I need is a chieftain on a flea bag, and that's to anytime those magic users are standing out in the open, or there's a missile unit that is plaguing my army, I want to be able to sneak him in there. And I really missed him this game because the Vermintide almost got one of the artillery pieces, but he could not, the other one could not get to the other one because he was stuck in kind of a slot back in there, where if I would have had a chieftain on a flea bag, I could have easily went there and killed his artillery right off the bat. So a couple of list mistakes, but I mean, I haven't played Ratkin in a long time. I've been playing my units of Abyssals, and just a totally different feel of the army. But I decided to do a list that, while I may not win, it's very hard to lose because of the objectives and the high unit strength that I have. And that might be enough in a tournament setting to get you by. You probably, like I said, you won't win the tournament, but you won't be at the bottom either, unless there's just something totally wrong with your strategy. So this is just a new way, I think, of playing. Not concentrating on killing, not concentrating, oh, I need armor 6, or I need flyers, or I need this, or I need that. It's just to have so many units. If you lose one, it doesn't matter. You just have to let it go. And that's what I did this game. One of the units, the couple of the units though that I let go, I was not happy about. When he rolled boxcars twice in a row, that did not make me happy. And there's no way that, I mean, really dice wise, that could have happened. It was just a fluke. And you know, you can't make your whole plan based on flukes, but it's really upsetting when you're playing the game and somebody does that to you. But again, it's dice, you can't do anything about it. And like I said, I was upset, but it's okay. And Polly played a great game. He made me do everything I could to get those objectives, but I really think maybe if I would have had some regiments in my list, that would have helped. And the other thing I might do is drop a couple of those warrior units down to and make them spearmen, and that way I have a unit strength 4, a 4 unit to take objectives with, or to claim things with. So that's a thought. I mean, the other thought is maybe bumping the wretches up to legions, or a couple of them up to legions, and do that. So I'll just have to mess around with the list and see how I can do, what I can do to get to my objective, which is to be win these scenarios that are so objective based or token based, and just by flooding the table with units and unit strength. So anyway, great game, Polly. This was, like I said, 2 draws in a row. So we are definitely getting to the point now where one of us makes a mistake, it's bad. I mean, it's really the end of the game. And this game, I don't think he made any mistakes. I mean, if he would have moved up us a little bit sooner, I think it would have hurt him more than helped him in this case, because of the units that were stuck over behind the house on the left side. I mean, if he would have moved past that house, I would have killed him instantly because I could have put 2 hordes on each one of his regiments. So, great plan, Polly. You saw, I mean, I saw it when I set up. I knew what was going to happen, but I didn't want to have just one horde walking around that little corner either. I wanted to have 2 online, and there just wasn't enough room there. So, anyway, great game, Polly, and hope to play again very, very soon.